Okay, so I know week one, Eagles versus Commanders is still a couple weeks away. However, this news is huge for that matchup and why it's going to be a bloodbath. Meanwhile, training camp is over and people are still talking about the practice interceptions. I'm glad that this person on the coaching staff shut it down. Plus, Jalen Hurts himself responds on what them interceptions mean. And if this guy is calling Makai Lemon Jalen Rager 2.0, then we should be glad he is because he's been super wrong. What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and it's the Philly Talk Podcast. If you rock with the Eagles, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and swipe over on the comment section and hype us up in sports. So the Philadelphia Eagles 2026 training camp is in the book, 17 total practices, but at the end of the day, this training camp meant more for the offense. And although a lot of people are focused on the 13 interceptions Jalen Hurts had, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't quite matter to me, especially when someone like Vic Fangio doesn't believe it matters.
Well, it's good for the defense, which is good for the team. And he's learning a new offense. I think he's trying things, seeing what's available and what isn't available. So I don't think that's going to carry over.
The main takeaway there is Fangio, who does know Jalen Hurts. He's been going against him in practices for years, doesn't believe it's going to carry over. He's seen what he can and can't do in this new offense. And although he has had different offensive coordinators, this is the first time the offense is extremely different. One thing that I always talked about in terms of Jalen Hurts being a great quarterback is his decision making and how he knows when to play it safe versus when to go at it. But the crazy thing is, a lot of people talked about the old offense and the old Jalen Hurts in which he didn't take chances. Now he's doing it not in an important game. He's doing it in practice where he has to actually learn the offense and people are losing their minds. If anybody knows how to win games and what not to do, it's Jalen Hurts. 2nd and 6 in a game. He don't see the look he has. He's not going to force it. He's going to live for 3rd down, live for the defense to get the ball back for him so he can make the clutch play when needed to win the game. Now, granted, if the turnovers do continue in the regular season and are costing us games, it will need to be corrected via Sean Mannion, Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts is someone I trust getting it right and ultimately doing whatever it takes to win the game, whether it's throwing, running, audible, handoff, you name it, he'll get it done. With that being said, they straight up asked him about the 13 interceptions and that he learned from it with training camp being over.
I think generally speaking, you learn from every play. Like regardless of how the result is, especially when you're putting in something new. And so I think every time we come out here and we get a chance to get on the grass, you want to take the coach and go apply it, be aggressive in it. And then with your experiences, you reflect on them, think about them, and you say, okay, you can play the game in this type of way, you can play the game in that type of way. And so I think I use the term calibrating with you guys. All of that whole entire process builds kind of your mind on how you're calculated, when you play the game. And so it's been a really good camp. I'm happy about the experiences that we've had to be able to grow from them. I was very excited about the opportunity to be able to practice with, the guys, our receiving core when, the guys that are going to start were banged up. And so just to have the time to build chemistry, build experiences with everyone as a unit, I felt like that was very valuable.
I absolutely agree with what he said. You don't just learn from interceptions. You learn from it all, no matter what the result is. He also used the word calculating and being able to figure out what he can and can't do in this system on the field when it matters the most. Then he went to the injured starting receivers and how that could lead to some interceptions, but also how it was good because a lot of the guys behind him are new and we needed that growing experience. Again, how many interceptions were tipped or miscommunication? If these guys have to play meaningful snaps, he'll know how to work with these guys better. And again, when push comes to shove and the game matters, Jalen Hurts won't be sloppy with the ball. It's not his MO. Now, before we continue on some of the last things we learned from training camp and also tell you why the Commanders are in big, big trouble week 1, this advantage for the Eagles cannot be overlooked. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is America's #1 sports picks app. And it's so simple. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineups. That's it. However, maybe you rather pick the team that wins instead of player stats, which is now on PrizePicks. Spreads, totals, pick'ems, whether it's a game or a fight. And best of all, PrizePicks got a new user offer that is really going to benefit you. Now, just play $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. You got to use code HMA when signing up to once again play $5. If you win, you'll get $150 in lineups. Sheesh. Back to the Eagles, and let's talk about Big Silz for a little bit because he's been coming at the rookie wide receiver Makai Lemon, calling him Jalen Reagor 2.0 all over Twitter. So Twitter, being Twitter, went down his timeline, and you can't believe some of the things he actually tweeted. I know he's been wrong a lot, but look at some of these tweets, man. Sheesh. August 15th, 2021. Devontae Smith is going to be a bust. How we got fleeced again. Vic Fangio is the worst coaching hire of Howie Roseman's career. The Eagles signing Saquon is maybe the worst sign in Birds history. So the Eagles' first-round pick, Quinyon Mitchell, is not starting week 1 versus the Packers at cornerback. Slot cornerback is not the position he was drafted to play. Isaiah Rodgers is starting. Wow. Birds were 31st in pass defense a year ago. To clarify that, that's him saying that he thought Quinyon was going to be the starting slot simply because Fangio experimented with him at that position in training camp. Wrong. And now he's saying Makai Lemon is the new Jalen Reagor 2.0. He's saying the kid even sounds stupid and all that. He's just taking it too far, bigger than football. And again, I'm not a big fan of Big Silz, but it is what it is. I have nothing against him. I don't care what other people do on their own stuff. But when I saw that tweet, of all these tweets of things he said, I said, I didn't even know it was that far. I didn't think he said some of them things like Saquon and Smitty and Fangio. Sheesh. Anyways, back to the Eagles and one of the worst coaching hires, Vic Fangio. He was asked about Ty Robinson turning the corner and why now.
You know, everybody's a little different. But you see it every year that some guys, they're struggling. And just something happens that they're able to turn the corner a little bit. And just so happened that it was him in the first preseason game, and he carried it over to last week, and hopefully this will continue. Now he's got to be able to do it against the frontline players too.
It just happens that way for some people. Although Ty Robinson did say he heard what Fangio said about him being on life support and all fit, it snapped him into a different player. But he also just felt disappointed about his own rookie season. They asked him if he was discouraged, and this is what he said.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say discouraged. You know, I definitely was disappointed. In myself, just because it just wasn't to my standard, and I took it personal in the off season, and after the season, when they told me they still see a lot of hope in me and have a lot of gifts, and they still have a lot of faith in me. Like it kind of made me think that I needed to step it up. They believe in me, so why can't I believe in myself?
He took it personal this offseason, and it took a little longer, but by the end of training camp and in preseason, we are starting to see it. He might be able to carve himself out a role in this defense. We have a tremendous D tackle room. JC, JD, they're great. Ajomo's great, but BY is underrated as well. So if Ty Robinson can get snaps in this type of room, then the sky is the limit for him. And we're only talking about a guy in year 2, but he's slowly earning back the Vanilla Gorilla name. And I'm excited to see his development in year 2 under Fangio. And even if he doesn't play that much, it's still important his growth because of Jomo could be getting a bag elsewhere after a big season this year. Might be the Milton Williams situation all over. We gonna need Ty Robinson to be a Jomo by the end of the year. We'll see. We still got Howie Roseman, and Vic Fangio did say he wanted a Jomo back. We will see what Howie can do. Staying with the D line, they asked him about Jalen Hunt, who was an animal this offseason, and a lot of people are now expecting double-digit sacks from, including your boy Philly Mike. But they asked him about this training camp and him being all over the place, low-key breaking out. Did he expect that when he drafted him?
It's what I expected and hoped for, but now I, hope for and expect for more too.
And what's that look like? What's the next?
I don't know. That you stop asking, not you, but all you. Am I surprised? Is this unexpected? Where that's who he is.
He expected it, and he expects more based off of how quickly Jalen Hunt got here. And I like that. He said, when you stop asking me, how good can he be? That's when he reached his limit. There's so much more in terms of the potential of Jalen Hunt with his ball skills, sack ability, growing as a player. And I can't wait to see most of it come out this year on this defensive line. Which brings me to one of the main points of this video and why I said Commanders week 1 are absolute toast. The Eagles already have such a huge advantage. And I'm saying this before our last preseason game, which, let me just shout this out real quick. I will be live for Eagles Bengals tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Come through. But back to why the Commanders are dead. Underdog tweeted yesterday, Commanders offense worst performance in years during joint practice versus the Ravens per at Nicky, whatever his name is. Inoperable offensive line. And if you think Underdog is misquoting him, here's his actual tweet. This is the worst I ever seen the Commanders offense in years. Inoperable offensive line, which is not good for them when they play the Eagles week 1 in Philadelphia. This D-line has been the talk of training camp. I know our linebackers are top notch. Our secondary is probably one of the best secondaries ever, but the bread and butter has been going to the D-line. Jalen Hunt, Ajomo, been living in the backfield. Ty Robinson off life support. Jalen Carter healthy, unblockable unless you double. Jordan Davis, strong camp. And somebody nobody's talking about, Nolan Smith. Mind you, we got a veteran double-digit pass rusher sitting on the shelf, Jonathan Grenard. Now, he probably won't be back week 1, so the Commanders don't got to worry about him. But an inoperable offensive line coming to Philly when Jaden Daniels literally said in a Netflix documentary that he's kind of scared to play with the injury he suffered last year, that is not a good sign. I'm not trying to pick the game before the week of the game, but an inoperable offensive line in Philly is the worst thing that the Commanders could even think of. You're talking about possible 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sacks in week 1, which will catapult this defense into having the most sacks in 2026. And we will still have some sacks, which are called covered sacks. Defense so good in the secondary, quarterback holds the ball. But if your offensive line is inoperable, we're going to get sacks in 0.7 seconds, 2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. This is going to be ridiculous. Now, I said all that, and I did see a quote tweet from the same guy saying, well, maybe 1 or 2 starters were out, but still, you should be still operable with a 1 or 2 starters missing a series. That ain't going to change the bloodbath that's going to happen in Philly week 1. I know we got the Bengals. Training camp just ended. September 13th is still 2.5 weeks away. but I had to talk about that. Now, we will get more updates on their offensive line pending week 1, and we'll revisit this. But man, if you are a Commanders fan and you've been hearing what's going on in Philly, and then you get that tweet from Underdog and your beat writer, blah, 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 you got to be shaking in your boots. On that note, I go by Philly Mike, just the Philly Talk Podcast. Prize Picks, the season upon us. You can pick what happens in the Eagles Commanders game. Sacks, tackles. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Click the link in the description. Also, hit the like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live, drop videos, put out YouTube shorts. Also, swipe over, hype it up. I will be live tomorrow, Friday at 7 o'clock. Come through with your favorite beverage as we say goodbye to the preseason and hello to the regular season and that inoperable offensive line. Yes, I can't wait. Let me calm down. But also, Philly Strong, if you got anything to say, leave a comment. I absolutely love hearing from you on all the topics we talked about, and I'll catch you on the next one. We out.